Welcome to episode 52 of the Animorphs year-long broadcast. Today we are talking about book 45, The Revelation. This is one of those books where I was just like freaking out about it the entire time. It is a monumental turning point in the series. There have been allusions to the fact that Marco's dad's work could somehow connect him to the Yeerks, but you're like, nothing's really gonna happen. It's gonna be fine. And there's that moment when Marco is watching his dad about to be infested, and he goes, I watched, fascinated. Was this real? Was this now? And that's kind of how I felt too. I was just like, this is really happening. I mean, even though I've read this book before and I knew it was happening, it's still shocking and so exciting. Marco saves his dad and is kind of forced to tell his dad the truth. And it's a really satisfying moment that has been building for a long time, especially in Marco's case where he gets to be like, oh yeah, and dad, mom's alive. Of course, this joyous news is really kind of, dampened by the fact that Marco's dad has remarried and is very much in love with his new wife, and that's kind of one of the conflicts in this book because Marco gets everything he's ever wanted. His mom is free, his dad and his mom are back together, his family's reunited, but that came at a price, and Nora's life was just sort of caught in the crossfire. A lot of this book revolves around this Z-space transponder, which is the thing that Marco's dad and his team have sort of discovered. And I wasn't really following a lot of the details about this, but somehow humanity has created a Z-space transponder that is better than Yeerks or better than Andalites. I don't know. There's this idea that the Animorphs can get this transponder or maybe make one of their own, and then they can get in touch with the Andalite forces. All of this coincides with kind of an even bigger upside to the status quo, which is that Visser 3 is getting promoted to Visser 1, which means that all-out war is happening. This is going to become an Independence Day style invasion. So everything that we know about the Animorphs and the Yeerk invasion on Earth and that has been built up in the past 45 books has now changed. And it's obviously kind of an injection of change that the series really needed at this point. If I really look back over the past 10-15 books, you could almost take out book 32 to book 44 and you really wouldn't be missing that much. And that's sad. It's not to say that I didn't enjoy some of those books, especially moments in some of those books. I did, obviously. There's a very crazy, intense scene of the Animorphs going to the Yeerk pool once again. And this time, it's even weirder how they get there. They have to steal a bug fighter and then go to the bottom of the ocean. It's madness. And the whole time I was reading it, my head was spinning trying to keep up with everything. But the end result is that they do rescue Marco's mom. Marco's parents are my faves because Marco's dad, after a few days of adjusting, is in this now. He's talking strategy with the Animorphs, helping Axe build a Z-space transponder, and of course Marco's mom is a wealth of knowledge. I mean, she is going to be such a huge asset to them going forward because she was Visser 1 for years. I also love this book because it was plot heavy and character heavy, which is my dream. Lots of these nice small moments. Jake and Cassie sharing a glance where they're confirming Marco's too emotional for this mission. Rachel cradling Tobias when they're in the crazy bug fighter. Lots of Axe arrogant Andalite snark. Major mentions of the Animorphs' really biggest allies and resources in the Chi and the Hork-Bajir colony. At the end, Marco is spending some time with his parents and his dad pulls him aside and he's basically asking permission to move on from Nora. This was his wife, this was a woman he loved. And even though he now has Ava back, it's still but Nora, I loved her too. And Marco essentially tells his father a lie. He goes, what if Nora was a controller all along? What if the Yeerks put her in your path because they knew you were involved in secret work? What are you saying? You were set up by the enemy, I said. You can't blame yourself. Marco thinks a lot about whether or not he could have saved Nora, and I think if we're being honest, the answer is maybe, yeah. He really could have tried harder to save her. Now he's even kind of tampering with the memories that his father has of Nora, so it's a gray area for sure. So this book ends with the Animorphs on the beach, gathered around their newly made Z-space transponder, contacting the Andalite fleet, and there's this great moment where the Andalites are who is this? And Jake goes, this is Earth. And the book even ends with this little thing we do know who they are and we know you too. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about this book in way of analysis. I just loved it. It made my day, and I'm so excited to read the next book now. So those are all my thoughts about Animorphs number 45, The Revelation. The next book is book number 46, The Deception, and it should be a Jake book, but it's an Axe book because now the numbering changes from here until the end of the series. So it's a brand new world. If you want to keep up with this read along, subscribe to this channel or follow me on Twitter, and I will see you on Thursday.